Shortly after we were married, I found out I was expecting our first child, and we were beyond happy and thrilled and excited. Then at my 20-week ultrasound, they said they noticed a couple markers that made them suspicious that maybe the baby had Down syndrome. So we decided to go ahead and get the amniocentesis. We found out that she did indeed have Down syndrome. So we were like really crushed because I was 25. There was no history of this in our family. It was really shocking to find out that, this daughter that we've been dreaming of and that we wanted, she wasn't going to be what we expected. She also had this condition called atresia, which means there was a blockage in her stomach. And because of that blockage, she was not able to swallow amniotic fluid. It started to put me into preterm labor. At 30 weeks, I was actually in for some monitoring for a non-stress test, and the baby's heart rate started to drop. They decided that it would be safest for her if they did an emergency C-section and take her. She weighed 2 pounds, 2 ounces. She was very tiny, but she came out screaming, and I remember thinking that that was the most beautiful sound of the world, because I didn't know, I was so scared. I didn't know that if she was going to be okay when she was born. She was a little fighter. She was small, but she was mighty. She was beautiful, and she was perfect. And I remember looking at her and hating myself for ever being sad that she wasn't going to be perfect, because when I looked at her, I knew that she was perfect in God's eyes. This was His gift to us, and who are we to say, that she wasn't perfect? They decided they were going to do her atresia surgery. I remember right before her going into her surgery, I remember I just had this really bad feeling, and I remember putting my hand in the isolette and holding her little hand, and I remember telling her that just to fight and to be strong, because I just had this feeling, like this instinct. They initially had a hard time getting her onto the ventilator, and her blood pressure dropped. When her blood pressure dropped, it damaged her kidneys, and she was too little for dialysis. The next day, we went to the hospital. She was getting worse instead of better. We called in the hospital minister and had her baptized. The social worker pulled us into the room, and she told us that they felt that there was nothing more that they could do for my daughter, and they felt that she was not going to make it. I remember my husband looked at me and just said, "We can't do this to her anymore." So we decided to take her off the ventilator and not to prolong her suffering anymore. I realize now that taking her off the ventilator was the last decision we made as her parents, and that we were protecting her and helping her, and it was a loving decision. She lived for 6 weeks. No matter how brief she was here, like, her life mattered, and she was our daughter, and she was our baby. I really wanted people to remember my daughter. I was afraid that if I didn't do something in her memory, that people were going to forget she even existed, because she was here so briefly. I want people to know what a huge impact and difference she made in so many lives. I feel like there's certain moments in your life that can either knock you down and keep you down, or those moments can define you. I feel like my daughter was a defining moment in my life, and she forever changed me. Not only did she change me, but she changed me for the good. She's also touched other people's lives through this project. Nevaeh's Rainbow is part of Project Sweet Peas, and Project Sweet Peas is a 501c3 nonprofit. Rainbows signify something beautiful, and it also signifies that life goes on after storm clouds. So I really wanted Nevaeh's rainbow project because I really wanted it to signify that, you know, in every storm there is a rainbow and there is something to look forward to. I knew I wanted to help, and I knew I wanted to do something special, and I knew I wanted it to involve, you know, helping the families with babies in the NICU. The 6 weeks that my daughter spent in the NICU were like the loneliest 6 weeks of my life. My husband still had to go to work, and we lived out of the state at the time, so my family was 4 hours away. So a lot of times I was sitting by myself in the NICU watching all the monitors beep, and I started watching her fade all by myself, and it was a very lonely, very sad experience. And I guess I wanted to find a way to give back to families and let them know that, you know, they're not alone, that there was somebody out there that was through a similar situation. Any kind of donation that we get is 100% tax deductible. 100% of every dollar raised goes right back to helping families in the community. In 2015, we've helped approximately 95 families. The care packs include simple things like necessities. A lot of times these moms are in emergency situations, and sometimes they're not even planning on having a baby. They're there without any essentials. The things that I include are hand sanitizer, tissue packs. I also include a journal, because I think it's very important to write down your thoughts and feelings, questions that you're thinking about, if the doctor's not present that you want to ask them in the future. I provide things that are meant to facilitate a bond between the mom and the baby, like a blanket, a storybook, a knitted hat, sometimes booties, stuffed animals. I'll also put stuff in to keep the mom busy, puzzle books or magazines, snacks and stuff like that. A lot of times when you're running back and forth from the NICU to home, you're not thinking about yourself and eating. 10 years from now, I just really hope that Nevaeh's Rainbow Project has grown even bigger and better, and that we're able to help hundreds of families in one given year. I think that would be amazing, and I guess the goal is just to be able to touch as many people's lives as we can.
People passing by, I see friends shaking hands.